Hello everyone and welcome to 343 TV. Today I'll be substituting for John. My name is Tsotne um, and I make techno. I will be John couldn't be today with us, but I'll be walking you through some of my techniques on how to get started on production, view of someone who doesn't have a classic music education of any sort. So the way I got into Ableton and how I started to produce is something could be useful to others who are starting as well. So as you know, 343 Labs is a school based in New York City and Berlin, and we also have online classes available. Uh, Online classes are small, meaning that every student gets enough attention and feedback necessary to produce their their tracks properly. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna switch to my Ableton view now, and let's see what we have here. So um, usually I like to get started either with bass or with one of the synths. As you can see here, I have a setup the default template. Each time I start producing, I like to be ready for whatever I need. I don't want to go inside and load my instruments every time, load the effects I'm using most of the time, uh, every time. So I would just like set my template, a default template, the way I like it, and then every time I open up Ableton, I'm greeted with this beautiful set of instruments and samples, which I can start working with. And for example, here I have a drum machine. This could be anything. I mean, in this case, lately I've been using 909, which is Roland Cloud. It's just like the regular 909, but it's modeled in digitally. It sounds almost like the same. It just has a little bit of different feel uh, because it's not analog, obviously. But it works really well. So another thing I am really into are the melodic sequencers, like sequencers in general. This one is called Melodic Steps. This is available for free on Ableton. If you have a suite version, you can download it for Max for Live, and it's pretty cool because it has a different, like a lot of parameters, including velocity, and you can set the amount of steps as you like for each one of them. So let me show you what I mean. So this is a 303 um, TB303 from Roland. I like to use this a lot lately. So if I start the sequencer, so see that it works just like a regular sequencer. But the thing is that we have the trick I like to use a lot is that to set the number of velocity steps to an odd number, and then have the nodes and the length of the nodes set to an even number. So it's like 8 steps here. I have 8 steps everywhere. I have 4 steps when it comes to chance, because right now I don't need to play with this. But what this causes is that every time you have a bar, after each bar you have a different set of velocities. So I can go ahead and choose what key I want to be in, and then start generating melodies automatically, right? And in my opinion, making music is mostly about your taste. Like, what do you like and what you don't like? So you could be looking at these patterns and then choosing the things you like, and then capitalizing on them. Even if you don't know anything about notes or music theory, it could be just like listening and seeing what you like, and then you have help in the form of having this control here to set what what root key you want to be in. So in this case, let's try C major. So I'm just going to increase a little bit more sound here. Let's try. I'll try to play with the notes. So I'm gonna randomize. This is like complete randomization button, and this is like more closer to the original. So if I change it a little bit, it's gonna change just pitch of the notes just by a little bit. It's gonna always stay in the key that you select there. And then I also have I can control. The good thing about this template is having a template at the beginning whenever you open the Ableton, is that you can go in and set default MIDI mappings as well. So when I start playing, I already know which knobs are for which instrument, and I can easily change their parameters. For example, this part here is for the 303, and it controls the cutoff, resonance, accent, etc. So I don't have to go inside every instrument each time to set the parameters I desire. I just can go. I just look at the MIDI controls and I set them there. So this is very good because it lets you be more creative, and you don't have these extra steps involved between yourself and the whatever you want to create. Hey John, hey TWD, hey Ekaterina, guys. Afternoon. How are you doing? So here, I'm gonna go back to this bass line. And here I have something that I like, let's say. I have a MIDI control, MIDI recording channel. And this channel, I can route any instrument into this channel. And then, if I hit record, it's gonna record the notes. The reason this is important is that Max for Live is usually not really stable, and you might have a pattern that you like, and then if you shut down Ableton, this pattern might be gone. It's just like sometimes it doesn't work as intended. So it's a really good idea to record all the MIDIs, all the notes, all the patterns, just simply like this, and you can have them available ready to go. So in this case, I can disable the melodic steps, and then let's play it back. So we have a 303 pattern right here, and then whatever you like. But when I finish with the first element of the track that I want to base my track around, then I start making a little bit of drums and seeing like how drums work with this particular pattern. I have a 909 right here, and it works just like it's a really cool interface that allows you to program it on the go. So let's say if I start here, I have a bass line, a kick, and then let's go up a little bit in tempo. have a 303 and the basic drums, snare and a kick. So now let's try to do some pads perhaps. So now I'll go back here and see, like I have a C major here, and I'm gonna try to do same here in Juno. So this I like to use Juno for pads. I like the feel of it, and it's pretty easy to use, even though it looks like there's a lot of controls here. So let me see here. Let's see what we get. And you can always slow down or increase the speed of the playback right here. Also has some other controls. Let's see. Let's solo this. Maybe a bit less lows here. I want to mention another thing. In every channel, I have a mid and side EQ, which is not like, I know that the regular EQ8 has a mid and side function built into it, like right here. But the thing is that if you divide mid and side like this, you can have individual effects for each one of them. Like, let's say, if you want to have a little bit of delay or a more reverb on the sides, you can do that and not affect the mids, or the if you have a more bass heavy, something that is more bass oriented, you need to have, in techno basically, you need to have the low frequencies centered, because in clubs you don't have a stereo movement much. I mean, it's not practical to have a stereo kick playing in the club. It doesn't sound good, and they don't use much stereo. There's different way they use it. So you always need the centered bass, or if you have an instrument that doesn't have need to have a bass at all, like, you can cut off the sides. I always cut off the sides low frequencies on the side, because it leaves no room for for it in the stereo. And besides that, I can use different effects for each one of them. So let's go back and see how this sounds with a bit less of low frequencies. Hi Regine, how you doing? try experimenting a little bit more. Just adjusting some of the parameters so it could fit more with the kick and the bass. I mean, the 303s. So here, I have a SH101 from Roland again, and I'm just trying to do the same kind of thing where I'll experiment with the melody and I'll see what I like. Again, let me try to incorporate it with the drums a little bit more. So let's see how that sounds with the drums. So I can isolate the kick. This is so here. I'm just gonna have a kick here. I'm gonna have a snare here. Now I have a kick. And if I go here, sidechain route. Basically what this does is telling this SH101 that whenever kick is loud, it's gonna reduce its volume, but at the same time we're using EQ, so the frequencies affected are gonna be just the low frequencies. And you can see here it shows how the signal is affected by the kick. So kick comes into the instrument and affects the frequencies below certain, like let's say 150 hertz or 200 hertz. And every time that happens, here we have a graph that shows how the signal is affecting the SH101. So this will sound the kicks. This will make the kicks sound a little bit crisper. And in this case here, I can also drag the Midis out of the plugin and put it right here. So I have a more direct control. bass, and then I'll cut out the 303 space low frequencies a little bit so it doesn't clash with SH101. Hey Regina, not sure I understand the question. You mean if I used Roland Cloud to create sample pack or something? I've never done that. And I'm not sure. If you can elaborate. I'm using sequencers here for the melodies. So I take, let's say we have SH101 right here. That's the sequencer that's generating the sound, the bass sound. Then I can take this. Usually I experiment here and I look for the sounds that I like, the melodies or patterns that I like, and then I record it as Midi. So I can set like SH101 right here. And I'll take this and record it. So now I have a Midi for the melody that's playing right here, which was randomly generated. And my opinion, having this kind of random generator is super useful, because it will give you amazing ideas that you would never be able to plan out or have structured plan for, because these things are like really there's some amazing patterns that you cannot even think of otherwise. You just can stumble upon them, right? So like, you just look for stuff you like, that is resonating you, making you feel a certain way, and then after you set there, like, yeah, these sounds make me feel a certain way, speak to me in a certain way, and then you go and like solidify them. Then you're like, okay, I'm set now I can do this. But before that, just like, this is called a melodic sequencer, melodic steps. So if you get Ableton suite, we get Max for Life automatically, and it's included on the website in the free section, so you can go and download it. And there's a lot more Max for Life based stuff, like arpeggiators. There's another one called Distance that I like. It's kind of simulates as if you were standing a certain distance away from the speakers, making the sound seem more placed in the 3D environment. Makes you feel like the sound is right there, and the sound is right here, the sound is up here, etc., etc. So it's making space for each of the sounds. You can use that. So like, basically, yeah, if you get a suite, Ableton suite, you have so many tools available for free. It's like such a great value, starting with like these plugins that help you produce, and the plugins that help you learn, like plugins that do visuals. I also do a lot of visuals in Ableton. Like, I can code something in processing, let's say, and then have it as a video in Ableton, and I can manipulate that video. The SH101 sequencer is part of Roland Cloud, which is, I believe they have different tiers, but the tier that includes everything is $20 a month. And I think if you're into techno, it's worth it, because like, the reason I got these is because everybody back in the day used to make techno with these instruments and like these drum machines, and this is what they had before, and this is the, how to say, collective consciousness. These sounds are in the collective consciousness, so to use these instruments is a little bit of an advantage, gives you a little bit of advantage, because people are used to these sounds, and they're like, maybe you can put a different spin on it, but the flavor is still there. It's like, when you listen to these tracks, they can make you feel like, oh, this movie or this thing I watched or whatever, you know. It's like, it has a lot of culture in it, because these instruments have been around for a long time. So to be able to use this for techno production is an advantage, in my opinion, because you can get into it faster, and even the instruments themselves have presets, right? And this is actually a techno preset list that comes with you can download from Roland Cloud. So what you have there is like, you have the instruments ability to download these instruments. In addition, you have ability to download preset packs that are being rolled out. I mean, I don't know if they're doing it regularly, but they have a lot of presets for techno, which is super useful, even for Jupiter and for 303 has its own presets. Yeah, I mean, they're all used in techno. But it's a really great place to start if you want to start producing techno, and you want to like know and how they used to do it back in the day. It's basically the same. I mean, these instruments are exactly as they were before. I mean, some of them have like expanded functionalities, but they're basically the same in terms of like sound generation. So let's go back here to our track. Pretty good motion here, you know. And like I said, velocity makes a big difference. Like, if you look at this, each bar, right? Let's say it's 2 bars, has a different set of velocities. is the same melody, same set of notes over and over again, right here, and every time it sounds different. Like, listen to it. Let me solo this. Or this. It's very subtle, but it's there. And it's a really important aspect in techno to be repetitive, kind of, because you need that. You need to have the vibe, techno vibe, you know, the atmosphere, create a certain atmosphere, certain feeling, and stretch it out over like 8 minutes or whatever, right? And then you have a big problem of having these repetitive patterns, sort of repetitive, making and trying to make them more interesting in a way, so you don't lose the atmosphere, the feeling you're going for those 8 minutes, but you also need to keep the listener's brains interested. Not necessarily like consciously, you can even do it subconsciously, but it has to be very, I mean, it has to be subtle in techno because you want to maintain that feeling. But these subtle things make it, our brains are designed to like different things. They don't like to be to listen to anything repetitive or look at anything over and over. That's the same, right? But if you make it seem like it's a little bit different, then you're at an advantage of having this feeling, being able to stretch out this feeling for an extended period of time. Like if you listen to this again as a whole thing. Midi again, so we can move it around as we like. We don't have to be dependent on these melodic steps. So again, trim seems to be working really well. Brings out 303 a little bit. Subtle intensity, maybe a little bit picked up, not necessarily like, you don't have to have this kind of traditional, you know, you go into this break or whatever and then you have a build up and then you explode at the end. You don't have to have this, you don't need, as I said, like, you need to have this vibe going, right? And not necessarily, like, if I take this trim and I automate it so it's moving, put a LFO on it, it's gonna add more motion to the track and tension, like slight subtle tension that doesn't have to be with it, timed with anything else. So let's do that. I can go here, grab an LFO, which is also a max for live device, and I can set the rate to be like synced somewhat. So yeah, half of our probably. And I press map, I can attach the trim. Now this is too fast. And also, we want the phase. How I set it, I limited it to a certain region, so it never goes, I can change the phase a little bit. motion, more motion. And the rate is synced with the DAW, so it's gonna be really well timed with whatever you decide to do in your techno track. And also let's add a little bit of accent maybe. Again, I'm using, see guys, like it's really easy, like if you like stuff, like, I'm just setting this to the same letter basically. If I didn't know anything about anything, I have a C here, I'll put C here as well. It's a sequencer. Just press play, see what comes out, right? Now this is what do we have here? Let's see. I love Jupiter. Jupiter is such a nice sound. So here I just reduced the sound, the lows, limited. Let's see how this sounds. There's a lot of high end here. Try to have a core of the track, of the techno track, before we move on to arrangement. So what I want to show you is how you can get started easily, even if you don't know anything about techno, right? Or production or music theory, or you just like to go into software and think, figure things out, because that's how I got started. I just got Ableton in 2008 or something, and I was just trying to figure things out. I mean, back then there was really little amount of stuff that I could look up on the internet, and on YouTube. YouTube was not that popular. I mean, it was popular, but educational content on YouTube was not that popular. And I mean, just like figure things out by just looking at them and seeing what the knobs do, what the sliders do. This is what you gotta do, exactly the same. I mean, you can get started like this and then have somebody professionally help you or whatever. I mean, you could not need any kind of help, I guess, if you're good enough. Depends on what kind of how good you are at self-teaching yourself. So, but yeah, I mean, basically, what we did was set the keys and just like automatically started to generate melodies. So let's capitalize on these a couple of instruments for a little bit more. Maybe I could balance them out a little bit better. So it's really important to like we have these instruments here, but we need to have a little bit of balance between them. So let's try to see what kind of balance we can achieve. Like look at me. I'm trying to avoid the EQs from Ableton at first, because if I can, let's say, limit Jupiter's sound, right, a little bit using its own filter, I will do that because these filters are designed for those particular instruments and they have certain feels to them. So you would be like, I think like doing the same type of EQ across all of your instruments could be beneficial, but your track will lose some flavor. It will sound same way. But like I said, these instruments are old instruments, like 40-year-old instruments, and they're really well known, and their sounds are well recognized, which gives you an edge. Here also, you can notice I have a lot of synths, and I have these things set up in advance. So these are different types of reverbs and delays. For example, the D is a big hall delay. So I don't have to put on extra effects, go and look for them. I have them right here. Some more decay here. Essentially what I'm trying to make is a kind of a perfect loop that's like, oh, I can go and say, I can listen to this for an hour. I mean, it would not bother me, or I would enjoy that. That's the philosophy I like to use when I'm making techno, because what it is, it's about an atmosphere. So if I can create a loop, a 4-bar loop, 6-bar loop, I mean 8-bar loop or 16-bar loop or whatever, that I can listen to for hours. Imagine what happens when I make it more interesting. Imagine what happens when I go into arrangement mode and start doing some fancy stuff, you know? That's the goal behind this. And obviously, you need to adjust a lot of frequencies and see what the instruments can do at first. Because, like if I do this, and it's too much. Jupiter is too much. What I do, I'm just using Jupiter's filter. I just reduce. See how softer it doesn't sound like I cut off a lot of frequencies or anything. It just sounds softer. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying about frequencies, right? When I'm talking about frequencies, the EQs and stuff, because every instrument has its own EQ and frequency filter designed for a particular instrument. It's always better to use them. Like this for TV 303, right? Resonance I have here, accent, and these weird things that do really particular things for those instruments that could not be done, could not work on other instruments is what you're looking for. And those types of things that increase the energy without adding too many extra value because like the tension, sometimes you want to increase the tension and decrease the tension. You want to make the loop especially interesting. It has to be something going up and down a little bit or like changing. So this is how you want to exploit the instruments themselves. This is what I don't like actually about like digital plugins, because they don't have this kind of character anymore. This is just like, hey, just throw in some presets and it sounds like somebody somebody designed the program and just set some values or something. This sounds much more organic to me. I think it's pretty good, like in terms of like a good start, and I think this reverb works pretty well here. You can also try increasing the delay from inside the instrument itself, which is right here. And you can change the delay types from inside. I mean, obviously, you could use Ableton's delays, but this is better. Sounds a little bit like, it's not tight enough. But this is like parallel, which means it mixes the original signal and the compression. So you can play around with this parameters and see like what kind of vibe you want to your kick. This, by the way, it has its own reverb, which I like. It's almost like a pad. There's certain things we could mix better, but for now, let's stick to the creative process. I think, yeah, so this hats, I think, take too much frequency, so we can work here a little bit. message a little bit more tense. to do is use sibilants from waves and some of these hats, because they sometimes sound too raw, so to speak. Let me see what I can do. I can soften it a little bit. Just a little bit of less of sibilance, I guess. It makes a little bit of difference. That's basically it for like the initial part of my workflow, and I hope it helped you. Um, I might be coming back, we'll see. But this is really important. Like from here, like, you can generate some random melodies and just make them work together somehow. Like you can go in these and edit them as you wish. Take out the notes you don't like, add the notes, extra notes maybe, because these sequencers are random, and I mean they cannot never probably give you like the exact pattern that fits in your techno track. Although you can start from something, but yeah, you can like edit them, and even here you have a chance. You can change the chance. If you decrease the chance to 0, basically it's gonna have no chance of triggering. So you can do like every uh, 3 notes would only trigger in this case. So you can experiment with these, and then when you come up with the bass melody like this, you should just start tweaking it and seeing how good it is and how much you can do with it. I mean, how pleasure pleasurable it is for you to listen to it, and would you be able to listen to it for a long time? Do you like the vibe of it? So that's the most important part. What is the vibe? Like imagine yourself in a club, you're having a really good time, and DJ is playing this track, and yeah, you don't want it to like really like it, and you don't want it to go away or change much, you know? That's the type of person you are, let's say, and you want this vibe, because techno is all about vibe again, like I'm repeating myself, but try to see if this track, if this loop can can be pleasurable to listen to for extended periods of time. And then from there you can move on to arrangement, or make it more interesting, start mixing it properly, etc., etc. Arturia Jupyter plugin, Detroit Rising is asking. I'm not. I have never tried that. Yeah, melodic steps. You need to load that definitely. And again, it's like saving so much time and energy. The creative process should not be limited by mechanical stuff. So you have to just be able to like press a button and get different ideas, and you can press this button a million times and get a million different ideas. And that's and then whatever you like, That's whatever you work with, And this it essentially what this does is eliminate a lot of unpleasant part of the production. So it helps you be more creative in the end. Um, so basically, yeah, we're done here for today, and 343 TV is gonna be back tomorrow with a Logic show with Justin Beck. Uh, Also, again, we are opening in New York City on the 8th of August. The school in New York City. We have all the classes available there. The class is going to be small, so you don't need to worry about. We do have a lot of precautions in place and rules which you can check out on the website, and we are keeping it safe. Obviously, there's not going to be many students per class, and go and look if you want to sign up for that. We also have classes available online, all the classes, and the Berlin school has we opened the Berlin school in this during the summer, and we do have a launch campaign going on there where you get 40% off any class if you purchase it by the end of August. This offer is not going to be active in September and on, so go and grab it if you can. So that's basically it. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.